Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, place of Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH. Plus, you love to see the number one. After seeing a negative, which I guess is also one, but in a different direction, we love to see that we're moving in the right direction. 4BVJ XFLM. What is this? It's reroll rewards, right? D7 is reroll rewards. I love this. Is I mean, last run I'm not complaining. You know, we got Book of the Satan's Bible, Book of the Satan's Bible, of course, a fantastic defensive item that helped us out a great deal. And I am going to use a bomb here. I think it's we couldn't have placed it better to get this, I think, but it's worth 6 cents. Even if we don't get a luck upgrade, that's possible. Arcade on the next floor. We could have waited, I suppose, to see if we got a bomb on one of these rooms. I mean, but then we can use the D7 to see if we get a bomb on one of these rooms, right? Well, we can just get a bomb that skips the middleman and makes things quite a lot easier. Ah! Look, telepathy is great, but I kind of want to use the D7 a little bit more. A little bit more than 0. So here's the thing. We got a bomb. I don't want it. I don't want that either, but it's okay. I guess we might as well pick up the bomb. So you can basically do a room over again to increase your consumable rate of change. Is that the way I should be thinking about this? Maybe I do like this, actually. It's a good use of a bomb. Where I got twisted up in this one is I forgot that you can actually pick up the reward and then re-roll the whole room to do it again. Actually seems pretty good. Give me this. And, you know what? I hate to do this, donation machine. You've been very kind to me. We're going to pick up our piggy bank, which is going to allow us to buy that as well. Now, a key is always a dangerous thing to play with here, but I think we're going to use it. And we actually love it and have literally no complaints whatsoever. But we're not going to buy PokeGo, I think. I'm not going to buy PokeGo. You know what's weird about 2020 alongside the obvious? I'm being sincere when I say this, by the way. I live in a city where food trends travel super quickly, you know? I mean, since I've lived in Vancouver, there's probably been like 20 food trends, not all of which are created equal, but there's like, you know, obviously craft beer, but then like craft donuts, bubble tea has always been around, but grew to like an enormous degree for sure in like the past few years. Poke has come and not went, but like is not as popular anymore as it used to be. Brussels sprouts and you know, these are not exclusively food trends. I mean, they're foods that have been consumed for, you know, at least decades, if not millennia, in some situations. But you kind of get what I mean in terms of them reaching a certain level of, you know, cultural nascence, if that makes sense. This year, no restaurants equals, to the best of my knowledge, no food trends. I'm trying to think of what's... I feel like we did get takeout from a new restaurant, and I gotta say, the stones on you to open a new restaurant when we're still like mid-pandemic is crazy. But we tried a new Japanese curry restaurant that was truly fantastic recently. If Japanese curry ends up being the next trend, I would be all for it. You might be unfamiliar. I was unfamiliar with what Japanese curry was literally until I moved to Korea. And like whenever I thought of curry, I exclusively thought of like Indian curry and maybe Thai curry, you know? I was like, there's only 2 kinds of curry in the world. Way off. Japanese curry is a little bit more like it's usually white rice. And then, or I should say, every time I've had it, which is probably, you know, 100 times, it's been white rice. And then it's basically like a thick brown gravy as the sauce, and then the sauce, there's 2 ways that is typically done. One would be the sauce has like carrots and potatoes and like chunks of beef in it. I don't know what kind of beef I think it's like round steak cubed, also known as stewing beef. We should really be using our D7 a little bit more, by the way, but Just work with me here. The other way to do it, and like by far the best way, but it's gotta be, every single one probably takes 15 minutes off your lifespan, is like a chicken katsu curry or a tonkatsu curry, where you have like a deep fried breaded pork cutlet or chicken cutlet, and then, you know, that's got the gravy on top of it. You mix it all together. It's a beautiful thing. I think we go hard on this one. Yas. This should be another two of spades, which I think is well worth doing that. I'd buy another one. That would set us up for the whole game, probably. Champion belt was really good, don't get me wrong. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, I'll just take this. But if Japanese curry ends up being the next... and by the way, there's other variants. I haven't named every variant. You can get... I mean, there's a lot of places that'll serve you like an ebi tonkatsu curry, which is like a... You know what? There you go. A couple of pieces of shrimp tempura. Or I guess it would be tempura, not tonkatsu. But you get what I mean. There's a, like, spinach curry, cheese curry, fish curry is another popular one. But anyway, if that ends up being the next food trend, count me in, brother. Count me in. And now you got me thinking. You know, it's... Don't talk to me about that damage, alright? It's been a long day. It actually has not. It is 12:15 p.m. on a Sunday. PM! That's not after midnight. It's before my lunchtime. Love to see it. But I wonder if the most ubiquitously named food item on Earth is curry. You might say sandwich. And I think that I take issue with it just because I think that it's easier to make. What I mean by this is this, okay? I don't mean that there's the highest variety of sandwiches in the world, because you could just add one new ingredient to a sandwich and all of a sudden it's a new sandwich. What I mean is there are so many different regional sandwich or regional curry varieties. I don't know if that's true with sandwiches. Sure, you've got, you know, burgers and croque monsieurs and the hot dogs count. What about a hard shell tacos? SpongeBob. But yeah, I probably should have done that earlier, huh? However, I think in terms of, like, you know, different regional varieties of a single dish, curry's got to be number one, right? You got Thai, Cambodian, Chinese, Indian, Japanese. There's got to be other curries I'm missing in there. I apologize. Those are just the ones that I'm familiar with. It's not an intentional slight. I don't want to see these enemies anymore. What's my favorite? I gotta be honest, it depends on the day. I think for a more kind of simple, everyday meal, I really do like a Japanese curry. Now, I will caution you, I do not think a Japanese curry is the tastiest variety of curry. You know, if we were doing a last meal, sort of, I'm just gonna... Hold on. I'm dumb. I honestly thought that would let me fight Krampus again and maybe get 2 items to suck with the Black Rune. So all I'm gonna say is that I think my heart was in the right place. Because I think we had a great idea that didn't work out. Hopefully we will still get to deal with the devil so we can grab the item. We just took a risk and it didn't pan out, but that's funny. Sure. Sure. I know I said I wasn't gonna take pills anymore, but let's mix it up. They're making a good play for me to start taking them again. Considering we just got 3 health upgrades, but if I had to choose a curry, I don't know. Like, because I ate a lot of really, really good Thai curry in university. For whatever reason, my fairly non-diverse hometown has an incredible bevy of... No, it still doesn't work. Okay. Of fantastic Thai and Cambodian restaurants. So I do love a great Thai curry, don't get me wrong. I think I gotta go with some variety of Indian curry for sure. I love I used to love the vindaloo. I'm in an in-between phase with like what I order from Indian restaurants right now. For a long time in my life I was like well, I was such a picky eater as a kid, I like never had Indian food at all. Maybe I would like steal your naan. Mr. Steal Your Naan. But I would not steal 4 naans. That's insanity. Just a little peep show reference for you. Where was I going with this? Hold on, let me see what we got here. Very nice. And then maybe let's do it again and just see what we get. We should be using this, like, if we're confident we're not going to die, we should use this frequently, right? That's the way I choose to think about this right now, and I think it makes sense. But yeah, I used to be a Vindaloo lad. I'll just level with you. I've never thought it would happen to me the same way many of you probably think it'll never happen to you. I used to have a cast iron gullet. Now, my gullet, not cast iron. I love spicy food. I love to sweat while I'm eating. As gross as that sounds, it's true. But it's gotten to the point where, like, it's not worth it for 12 hours from that point onwards. So I'm in between, because, you know, sometimes I've gotten a, like some chicken korma, and I don't dislike it, but it's a little too sweet for me. I'm much more on the savory side, and it's almost like, you know, it's a little much. So I do like, well, I get you. I don't know. Where am I going with this one? I don't know. I guess I'm asking for feedback. You know, if you live in North America and you like spicy food, but you cannot consume, or you know, you can consume but don't want to pay the price of consuming very spicy food anymore, what do you want? What do you get? I love, like, a masala dosa or something like that, but even then, you know, you gotta choose, like, a filling for the masala dosa, and in my head, I'm like, let's just get the vindaloo. I'm not doing it on this room. This room we took damage. What? What an incredible choice. So I've had the korma, I've had the madras, and I am also aware of the fact that I might be making myself look silly because I have no idea if some of these are real names for things or if they're just like local names for things. Like one of the frontiers I've never touched really on Indian food is paneer. I've had it and I don't dislike it, but it's never like my #1 choice. But maybe we're getting close to that time where that's what I might want to check out. I like the vegetarian curries. I like a chana masala. It's not a curry, but I like an aloo gobi. But I need some feedback because you know, I'm floundering. I'm becoming one of those guys where, like, if Kate's like, let's get some Indian food, I'm like, I'll just take whatever the heck lamb curry is. I used to like Rogan Josh, but now it just makes me think about podcasts. And Fear Factor. That's not what you want to think about when you're eating. No, that's a joke. Rogan Josh is still delicious. Don't even try it. So that's a very roundabout way of saying... I don't know if and again, I'll just apologize for calling it, like, Indian cuisine, because I'm sure it's one of those, like, when somebody says Canadian cuisine, I take no offense, because I think from a cuisine standpoint, Canada is fairly, like, uniform. Now, it's a diverse country, people eat all sorts of different stuff, but when you think of Canadian cuisine, I, as a Canadian, would be unoffended if you were like, hey, you guys like poutine, meat pies, smoked meat sandwiches, butter tarts, and Timbits. I'd be like, yes, that's correct. Now, there are parts of Canadian cuisine I will not stand for. Did you know in Quebec there is a dish called pizzaghetti? Pizzaghetti is literally exactly what it sounds like. It is not like spaghetti with pepperoni in it. It is a pizza. I think it's usually a pepperoni pizza. And then it's sliced down the middle once. So it's like 2 halves of a pizza. And then they create a little space on the plate for you. And they put a whole serving of spaghetti in the middle. Why this dish would come to fruition? Because it's not even, you know, it's kind of like surf and turf, I guess. But it's like carbs and carbs. Like, never once have I been eating spaghetti and been like, you know what would really tie this together? A food with 99% the exact same flavor profile. I've never been eating spaghetti and been like, man, I could really go for a slice of pizza. And I sure as heck have never been like, you know, I'm sick of this pizza. Can I have a huge plate of noodles and tomato sauce as well? Like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. But at the same time, I'm like, that's my country. We invented that, I guess. We didn't invent either of the two foods that are a part of it, but I feel like whenever you say, like, Indian cuisine, you know, what are you talking about? You're talking about South Indian cuisine, North Indian cuisine, you know, Indo-Chinese cuisine, etc., etc. So I apologize, because I'm sure I'm missing out a lot. If anything, like, I think in my hometown, there's some decent Indian restaurants. But I think they're almost more like British Indian restaurants, because they got stuff like onion bhaji. And if that made me sound ignorant, I apologize. But I thought the onion bhaji was like a British Indian fusion invention. They don't really get the onion bhaji in Vancouver, in my experience, as much. They're much more about the pakora, which, don't get me wrong, delicious. But every now and then, I do miss an onion bhaji. I'm not going to deny it. I'll tell you something weird, because we got Canada, pretty normal country. We got occasion. Well, I guess I would think that, right? But we got some weirdness that people might not consider. Like, and I didn't even know that this is like a Canadian and British thing, maybe other Commonwealth countries, but it always blows Americans' minds. I believe it may not be the most common Canadian Chinese food dish ordered in Canada, but it's on almost every Canadian Chinese food menu. And oftentimes it's like combo A or number 1. It's called chicken balls. And it is usually like 4 to 6. They look like donut holes, but they have like a piece of chicken meat inside of them. They're good. And then usually there's like a sweet and sour sauce on top of them. Yikes. They're good, don't get me wrong. But I grew up, that hurts, thinking that chicken balls were like a ubiquitous North American Chinese food experience. If you are from Canada, bring up the idea or the concept of chicken balls to your American friends and see what they say. If they do not have experience with Canadian Chinese food, my personal prediction is that they will lose their minds. And it is kind of a weird item. Like, to be like, oh, let's go out for Chinese food. I'll have the chicken nuggets, please, but I'm feeling exotic. Give me rice instead of French fries. But that being said, I can't deny that there's a certain degree of tastiness. I'm trying to think if there's other Canadian weirdness from a culinary perspective. I don't know, honestly. I think that, I mean, pizzagetti is just vile. When you get out into, like, the country, like, I watched an episode of the show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil. They went to Montreal, which is, you know, a beautiful food city. But they went to, like, a super, it was incredible. It was a very, like, blue-collar bougie restaurant. It was like, you know, it was fine dining, but unrefined. And then the meals were like, hey, this is like reindeer skull. But done up in like a Le Cordon Bleu sort of, you know, with that level of panache and finesse. So, like, you know, are there places in Canada where you could consume beaver teeth? Possibly. But I wouldn't say that it's emblematic of the national cuisine in general. The other thing is, I feel like I have to defend our country a little bit. Poutine, perhaps Canada's national dish. I don't know if that's official, like, from a governmental standpoint, but in terms of the dish that people most think of, like, American or Canadian cuisine, they probably think of poutine. It is consumed. It is not like nobody in Canada eats it, but I will tell you, people don't eat it very often, at least in my experience. Now, I think we got a little bit of a West Coast bias here. When I lived in Ontario, I ate it more often, but I was also a college student, you know? So it gets consumed, but it is definitely not one of those things where, you know, your mom's gonna be like, it's Poutine Thursday. You know, I think when people think of American cuisine, they think of, you know, let's be honest, it's hamburgers. I have to imagine, I would bet the revenue I've earned in my entire life, not just to this point, but following this point as well, that Americans consume burgers at a rate at least double to what Canadians consume poutine. I'm willing to go a little deeper than that, but let's start the negotiations there. Which is actually completely fair, by the way, because, you know, hamburgers maybe not the best thing you could eat for yourself, but poutine is pretty close to the worst. Like, in the hamburger, at least, you know, you're like, there's a lettuce leaf, and there's a piece of tomato. You know, not every single component of it is bad for you. In poutine, you're like, it's all pretty bad. You know, the fries are bad for you. The gravy is literally just like, you know, I think it's usually like a chicken or turkey gravy, I think, at least. But, you know, it's just meat juice, thickened up with like butter and flour. And then the curds are like probably the least bad thing for you, but should not, in all likelihood, be consumed to that degree. It really is. I mean, I think pizzaghetti has got to be worse for you, but yeah, I don't know. If you made them the same size, poutine would probably be worse, but nobody's gonna eat a pizza-sized order of poutine. That's insanity. That's all I can really think of. That and like the other one that comes to mind is Canada's favorite flavor of potato chip historically. In my anecdotal experience, I don't have anthropological data to back this up, but is all dressed. All dressed Ruffles are like, you know, that's people when they think of Canadian potato chips, they always think of ketchup chips, and we do have ketchup chips. I think they're pretty good. They're just like kind of a sweeter barbecue, I guess. I don't even like ketchup, and I like ketchup chips. That's what I'll say about that. But really, all dressed is like, that's the big one. But no one's gonna make fun of all dressed because it's delicious. When you consume it, you're like, it's the best flavor. It's got the tanginess of like a salt and vinegar, but it's got a little sweetness like a barbecue. Look, I'll say it. It's good eats. I'm also hoping, like, at some point in this run, just maybe it would be possible, just theoretically, that you could, like, give me some items that would improve my ability to deal damage that we have not had in quite some time. Just throwing it out here. We've been on this floor for a long time. There we go. This is what we're looking for. A good reroll machine. I don't want to buy Pokego yet. I will buy this. I don't want to buy King Baby. Coupon, huh? I think at this point we probably prefer it to D7 because we don't really want to do that many more rooms. Interesting. We really don't want to do that many more rooms over again, at least until we get stronger. So with BFF, I'm just gonna level with you. We're going extremely hard on that one, and if I could buy some Spirit Hearts, I would love to now. It's not that bad. We want to stick with coupon. Do you have any gray coupon? You know that one? Yes, you do. Okay, incredible. You guys got that one down there, huh? All right. I guess I'm saving at this point. I'm saving credit card for a deal with the devil. I say I guess as if I don't have control over it, but. We did improve our damage. We got a level 1 Meat Boy and a level 4 Meat Boy, and we're feeling solid. We're feeling groovy. So there's your lesson on Canadian cuisine today. But I will say, I feel like if you are from Canada and you watch this episode, you may take issue with my West Coast bias. There is a West Coast bias in there. I think we eat different things on the West Coast, or at least different configurations, or different prevalence of it. I do find it funny, though. People, you know, sometimes think, like, if you live in Vancouver, you must eat, like, seafood constantly. Nah, dude, it's still expensive. Because the world makes no sense. Fish in Vancouver at the grocery store costs the same as it does in Saskatchewan. Somebody is rigging the game. I am going to try this. And I think it's a cop-out to say we shouldn't. I think we should. It didn't work out, but I'm still kind of glad we did. I wouldn't. Let's just get out of here. Okay. Like, it is an endless font of annoyance for me. Why is it that if you live in Alberta, where they, you know, pull the gas out of the ground and refine it, or the oil out of the ground and refine it into gas, gas is cheap. Cheaper, at least. And fish is expensive. Now, in Vancouver, gas is expensive, but the fish are right there. And yet we're paying the same price. It doesn't make any sense. Some of my colleagues would have you believe that a salmon fillet in Canmore should cost the same as it does in Vancouver. Oh my God. The universe is collapsing. I'm not really complaining. I'm just saying, like, we're like anywhere else in the country. We eat a lot of chicken. Really, the only change to my seafood consumption by living close to the Pacific Ocean is that when I go out to a restaurant and any piece of seafood has Atlantic in front of it, I'm like, I'm not gonna get that. Are you crazy? The other ocean, I mean, there's more than two oceans, but the other ocean I'm familiar with is right there. I could have some Pacific steelhead, real name by the way, don't laugh. Or you're an Atlantic lobster? What kind of monster would I have to be to get the lobster in that situation? Now, here's a question for you. It's an honest one. Are there Pacific lobsters? Are there lobsters in the Pacific Ocean? Are there lobsters in the Pacific Ocean? Lobsters are not native. However, they were introduced between 1896 and 1966. All right. I don't know if they took. The fact that it said they were introduced 11 times between 1896 and 1966 kind of sounds like it didn't take. But maybe I'm incorrect on that. I don't know, man. Can I tell you? Oh, I got opinions about lobster. I think lobster is one of the only foods out there that I would describe as simultaneously overrated and underrated. Overrated how? Let me explain. I love lobster. I do think it's delicious. I never eat it, or very, very rarely eat it, just because it's so expensive. Sure, lobster's good. Is it twice as good as the beef entree? Is it twice as good as the salmon entree? I don't think so in most circumstances. So I think it gets overrated a little bit in terms of the price. Now, how much of the price is dictated by demand and how much is dictated by the cost it actually takes to pull the lobster out of the water, I honestly don't know. But I'll say from an economic standpoint, I want you to know that, at least in my opinion, I am contributing to a dampening of the lobster price by never ordering it. That's my take on that, at least. So you're welcome. You know, not all heroes wear capes. I would like to buy the hero font, please. Okay, well, you know what? We'll donate a bunch of money then. This is actually spicier than it should be. However, I also think it's underrated. Because people who don't like lobster resort to personal ad hominem attacks against the species. Ooh, it's just a little bug. Just a little mistake. Just a little mistake. I'm not gonna pay that much for a dang old water bug. Are you? I'm sorry. I don't eat insects. You know that stuff is uncalled for. And whatever happened to civility? You know. That's why I think it's simultaneously overrated and underrated. I think most seafood is underrated without being overrated. Nobody, like, or at least very few people out there are like, oh, my favorite food, clams. People like clams. They like oysters, don't get me wrong. But nobody is like, oh yeah, like I'll pay through the nose for clams. For lobster, people are like, yeah, dude, absolutely. So I think seafood, and people who dislike clams are like, it's the worst thing in the world. I hate to eat the monster. I hate to eat the animal's poop. Ah, get over it. You know the atoms you're breathing right now were part of Julius Caesar's butt crack. Who died and made you consul? Anyway. I don't know where I'm going, like, commentarily speaking on this episode, but we're getting there one way or the other. We're getting there. I'm not picking up that key. It's bad luck. You guys see the Jesus rolls yet? I caught a little bit on TV. Well, and by a little bit, I mean the last 80% of it. Controversially, look, I like The Big Lebowski. I'm not one of those guys who's like, let's make the pilgrimage to, you know, Lebowski Town or whatever every year. But I like the movie. I would say I like the movie a lot, actually. However, I think the Jesus rolls is actually just kind of very not good. I admire it more than I like it. So let me tell you, it's written, directed, and starring John Turturro, who you may know. I'm going to say, like, first, you probably know him as the Jesus from The Big Lebowski. If you don't know him for that, well, I mean, he played the lead character in Barton Fink. And you're like, still not ringing any bells. Okay, fine, you're going to make me do it, aren't you? You're going to make me do it. All right, fine. He's the butler from Mr. Deeds. Are you happy? Yeah, the one with the dead foot. But he's so much... John Turturro is a national treasure. A truly fantastic actor, writer. I don't know. I haven't seen much that he's directed, I think. But he's really good. He's much more than just the weird butler from Mr. Deeds, okay? However, he is the weird butler from Mr. Deeds. So he directed, and it's almost it's like a domestic foreign film. It's surreal and hyper real, and it goes nowhere. And I admire its audacity. And still, the whole time that I was watching it, I was like, I hate this. Where are the transforming robots? It's a joke because I believe John Turturro was also in Transformers, and I have no disrespect for that whatsoever. Because, to be honest with you, if Michael Bay was like, here's a 7-figure check to be in Transformers, I would be like, this is my lifelong dream. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. However, I would recommend watching it. Not Transformers, but the Jesus Rolls. I would recommend watching it because there's no other movies. We have now hit 0. The gas tank is empty. And now, what about Palm Springs? What about Palm Springs? It's a Hulu exclusive, and we don't have Hulu in Canada. Nobody in Canada's got the distribution rights yet. What about Palm Springs? Plus, they gotta rename it up here. Nobody knows what Palm Springs is. They're gonna have to call it, like, Moose Factory. Alright, get me out of here. You know, yet again, it's a classic little situation, Bob. The streamer picks up the credit card, never uses it. Could have gone with the son instead. Can I tell you? If we're doing overrated, underrated, I think the credit card in this game, if you get it a little later, heavily overrated. We could have gotten one of those books for free. So what? It's not worth nothing. It's worth something, but it's not worth much. When we already have a spacebar item we prefer, it's not worth much. That being said, for an episode that's been so banter-rich, I think our fundamentals have been pretty strong. Seems to me I will leave today without having picked up a loss, I hope. Although, Curse of the Unknown, always a little spooky, right? Always a little spooky. We got so many health upgrades on this run, too. Via pills, which is... look, I'm not saying that I'm going to become one of those guys again who is actually, you know, actively using the pharmaceuticals in the game, but on a run like this, it is hard to deny that it did some great stuff for us. Dude, we got to phase 2 so quickly there. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Now we just want... Come on, me boy. Me boy. Do some chewing, brother. That's what you're built for. Yeah. We're gonna have to just trust this one. I still, after all these years, I have no idea why sometimes it works when you go in the exact opposite corner and sometimes it doesn't. It's like there's two patterns and one of them hits the opposite corner and the other one doesn't. I don't know, man. I didn't know until like 2 years after Rebirth's release that there were two different bosses from Angel Statues. I thought it was just a palette swap, different costume. Not a joke, by the way. Not a joke. Why are you laughing? That's a health up. No, it's not. That's X-Lax. Common source of confusion. You know, it's a good verb. I think the real power of the power pill is allowing me to freely use my my orbital. Let me out. Why do I feel so weak on this run? I guess, you know, 6 rate of fire, 6 damage is not that good. It's okay. It's more than okay, but less than amazing. Which, this is where, you know, if you want to make a mean-spirited joke, it sounds like the title of your autobiography. I feel like I've never gotten that item on this save file. Both that and Dad's Ring. I was like, have I ever seen these before? I don't know. Are we getting 1,000,001% on this save file? We may still be missing some challenges for all I remember. I don't know. Let me hit you with a hot take. Kind of who cares? Like, I care a little bit. Like, I'd like to tick the box. But I'm also like... You know, whenever people, and I apologize, you've been around for a while, you've heard this many times. NL, why don't you play Isaac like this? Why don't you play it like this? Because when people ask me, how have you been able to play Isaac for so long without losing your mind? It's very simple. I think it's a two-part answer. One is, for whatever reason, and I don't think it's a personality bonus. Like people, like I could be like, I'm tenacious. I'm not like other people. I can put the work in. It's not like that. It's more like I have the kind of brain or personality where doing the same task over and over really doesn't bother me that much. And I think my boredom level rises more slowly than most people's in that sense. Secondarily, it's because I do what I want in the runs for the most part, while also trying to do the little things right. So we're up to 2 wins in a row. That feels nice. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps me out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!